Just look at this. This coaster is made in about 15 minutes on the Creality Falcon 2 22-watt laser cutter. I've been making projects for customers and for friends. I've been making projects for local businesses. It was really the complexity and the price of things like these professional level laser cutters that really drove the hobby laser cutter market. But the problem is those laser cutters are great, but they just can't do the continuous high power output that laser cutters like the Creality Falcon 2 can. Luckily, the Creality Falcon 2 is a new breed of laser cutter and engravers, and I think it's in the perfect sweet spot in terms of price, features, performance, and ease of use. So Creality sent me the Falcon 2 to test, and I wasn't expected to be blown away by it, but I am, and it's been in nearly constant operation in the weeks since it showed up. Full disclosure, I get to keep the Falcon 2, but they didn't tell me what to say, and these opinions are mine. When I used to use more expensive machines, I found myself really struggling with the machines and struggling to set them up, struggling to use them, and struggling to justify the price for them. Since I'm already printing 3D pieces for businesses in the area, I've been asked to make other custom pieces like coasters, storefront signage, mugs, things like that. Hobbyist lasers are not great for large pieces due to their enclosed cases and relatively small operating area. To keep the costs lower, beginner laser cutters often have a relatively low power laser, which is no problem since they're not really designed to do things like etch metal, cut through pieces of wood for fine woodworking projects, or cut through thick pieces of wood. But the Falcon 2 doesn't have these limitations. It's capable of etching metal, it can cut through 15 millimeters thick wood, and with its rotary cutter attachment, it can engrave mugs, rolling pins, and just about anything else that's round. The working area of over 400 millimeters plus the open chassis design and the additional screw-on feet allow the Falcon 2 to be lifted up to accommodate very large projects. I've even lifted up on 2x4s to work on large pieces. In a wood shop, a laser really isn't as flexible as a CNC machine, but it's a lot easier to use and it can handle some projects that a CNC can't. For example, a CNC machine isn't going to be able to etch things into stainless steel in different colors by varying the output of the laser. There's really not a lot to say about unboxing and setup of this because it's just so easy to get the Falcon 2 up and running. The frame comes fully assembled, the laser unit slides easily into rails on the X-arm, and the integrated air assist pump connects to a hose built into the laser itself. The small pump of the assist provides air during cutting, which keeps the laser free of debris. If you've ever used a laser that doesn't have an air feed, you'll be familiar with using the provided glass cleaning cloths to clean the laser aperture, but I haven't had to do that once with the Falcon 2. Okay, I did it once after I started a small fire, but more on that in the safety section. On the side is a USB-C connector, power connector, and micro SD card slot. The front of the machine has very simple controls for moving the head, homing, and framing a project. The micro SD card allows the Falcon 2 to do a project without a connected PC, but only a single project can live on the micro SD card at a time since there's no interface to select prints. I've heard the complaints that people wish that this machine had Wi-Fi or another internet connection, but I am never at one of these machines using it where I'm not directly watching it. Setup takes under 15 minutes, at least if you don't lean on the emergency stop button like I did. I spent probably 20 minutes checking cables and testing outlets before I realized that I pressed the button down when leaning over the machine, which shuts off power to the machine. You just have to turn the knob, it pops back up, and the machine starts back up again, but not before you sound stupid asking the tech support people at Creality about it. Maybe that's just me. I'm very happy that the Falcon 2 has an emergency stop button because the stop button in programs like Lightburn are hard to get to quickly if there's a problem, especially if your display has gone to sleep. The Falcon 2 has built-in flame detection, which I said I was going to get back to, and it shuts down the unit if the material starts to burn, and I've accidentally tested this when I set the laser power too high. I was trying to engrave, but I had it set to 100% power by accident. My bad, but it was a good test, and when a small flame emerged from a cut, the system shut off and sounded an alarm. Since the Falcon 2 is such a large machine, it can be hard to find a workspace to accommodate it. To help with this, there are 3 holes on each side of the machine that the feet can screw into so that the printer can be placed on a table that's smaller than the overall dimension of the machine. I ended up buying a sturdy folding table for now that's 3 feet by 3 feet, which gives me plenty of space for the Falcon 2 and also for the Spoilboard I made, which I'll get to in a bit. Creality includes a getting started manual that clearly illustrates each step, and there's also a thumb drive with an electronic version of the manual, as well as a configuration file for Lightburn, the software that runs the device. You can also use the free software Laser Gerbil, but Lightburn is much better even though it's not free. One of the first things I bought for the Falcon is the Creality hood because a 22-watt laser cutting through wood makes a lot of smoke. The enclosure also has light filtering plastic panels to look through so you don't accidentally go blind if you forget to wear the dark green glasses provided with the Falcon 2, and it keeps visitors to your shop from accidentally going blind because you left the door open to the shop and they don't have glasses. Even if you have a well-ventilated workshop, having the hood virtually eliminates smoke as it comes with a USB powered fan, and a 3-inch flex hose to vent the system. Between the air supply and the ventilation, there's almost no smell of smoke in my work area. Speaking of my work area, mine is temporarily located in my attic because we used to have a washer and a dryer there, and since there's already power there for the dryer and a ducted hole, I decided to connect the engraver there. I mention this because I see a lot of people only using their engraver outside, and for people who live where there's a winter, that is not always possible to do. But most people do have a dryer. A driver uses a 4-inch duct that vents outside, and I hooked my 2 laser engravers up to it with a Y connector that I 3D printed, although tons of them are available online. Since I have 2 cutters connected to the same pipe, I added an inline 4-inch duct fan, which provides enough negative pressure that smoke from one engraver doesn't end up backflowing into the other one. One problem that I had during setup was due to me not reading the full guide for setup in Lightburn, but I'll mention it here to save you some headaches. Lightburn can automatically detect the Falcon 2 and set it up, but for me the Y-axis was reversed in software. The things I placed on the artboard at the front of the engraver were cut on the back and vice versa. Then I found that a profile for Lightburn was on the thumb drive that came with the Creality Falcon 2, and I tried to import that configuration file, but I still had no luck. Save yourself the headache and just import the right profile from the get-go. Don't let Lightburn auto-discover the Falcon 2, use what comes on the thumb drive. A note for Mac users like myself, it is really hard to get the Mac to connect to the machine, at least it was for me and for my M1 Mac. The USB driver that runs the Falcon 2 isn't installed by default on the Mac. There's ways to add it to your Mac, but it's not like running an installer to add a regular Epson or HP printer. If you've managed to get a Mac connected to this, please leave me a comment below, as I'd like to ask you what you did and make a video to help other Mac users. Creality also sent me their large size metal plate and large honeycomb board to put under the pieces when you are cutting them. One thing that I wish the Falcon 2 had was a metal guide to slide under the machine to provide orientation marks to line up materials to cut. Nothing's worse than doing a job for a client and it turns out to be off by a few millimeters. I've solved that problem with a Spoilboard, which I'll talk about in a minute. After I have some water. How do people on television do this? My throat gets so dry. Another thing that many hobby engravers have is a built-in camera that helps line up a job with the loaded material. And while I understand why these more industrial machines don't have them built in, it means a bit more work in aligning the jobs for perfect output. I bought an inexpensive Spoilboard pattern on Etsy from a YouTuber that works with these machines. It's great. I will have a link to it in the description below. It comes with a template for feet that you can cut out and then glue to your Spoilboard to make sure that the Spoilboard and the machine are always lined up properly. The Spoilboard also makes it easy to create jigs if you're going to make the same type of piece over and over again. I built a jig for slate coasters that allows me to just drop the jig on the Spoilboard, line up the corners with the guides, and hit start. For many shops, a professional quality cutter and engraver like this will pay for itself in a few jobs. A lot of fine woodworking shops do a lot of business for things like wedding halls and party planners, where dozens of pieces of custom favors or table numbers or takeaway gifts are needed for each event. Lightburn allows you to make QR codes directly in the software. I'm also working on some nice hardwood keychains with info on one side and a QR code on the other for realtors to leave with their potential client. I'm also going to start shopping these to high-end car dealerships. As easy as the Creality Falcon 2 is to use, it's not a hobby machine as I mentioned before. I mean, it could be used for hobbyists to cut out presents like Christmas tree ornaments or signage for around the house, but it's not designed to fit the same niche. I see the Falcon 2 as being like a router table in a wood shop. Anyone can set up a table and start to cut some basic shape, but to get the most out of it, it should be used by someone who already understands how to make it work or is willing to put in the time to learn this tool. You're not going to unbox this and just start to make an Etsy shop side hustle that'll bring in wads of cash. I mean, you could unbox this and you could make an Etsy store in the same day, but I don't think it's going to bring in wads of cash. But if you're already doing custom work for businesses or you want to get into providing custom services for businesses in your area, this is a perfect machine to get started with. And as I mentioned, if you already have a wood shop, this is a great machine to either replace or go alongside some of your other laser cutters and engravers. As of this recording, the Creality Falcon 2 22-watt cutter and engraver is on sale, though Creality wasn't able to say how long that sale would be in effect. If you use my affiliate link in the description below, not only do you help out the channel, but you'll get the lowest price available when you buy. I put a survey on my channel and about 30% said that they never used one but wanted to, a third said that they already have one, and a third said that they don't need one. Which one are you? Finally, don't forget to let me know if you have any questions. I'll make follow-up videos on this machine, and I also have a connection to their product teams who can answer any questions that you might have. Darth Vader sent me a hologram message saying that your lack of hitting the like button below disturbs him, so please hit that button so he doesn't force choke me.
Enough of this. Vader, release him.
Check out my other honest real-world review videos. Hit the subscribe button. For Dave Tries This, I'm David Schloss. Thanks as always for giving this a try.